Hello, YouTube. Thanks for joining me. This is episode 13, Unconditional Happiness. Well, I am in Laramie, Wyoming. I was here 5 days ago, but truly, this has been a very unique trip, very different from all the other trips before. So let me go back to give you a little bit of history. Memorial Day weekend, I went down to see my girls, went on down to Miami to hang out with my friend Lorna that I hadn't seen at all. She's one of my closest friends in the world. Hadn't seen her since my diagnosis. So went down to Miami, spent some time with her, and we went out just to hang out and met this guy who, we walked into a pizza place. This guy says to us, "You know what? I ordered this large pizza. I can't eat it by myself, and I promised myself the next person that sits next to me, I'll offer to share it with them." Now, on the entire planet, of all the people I know, my friend Lorna is the one closest to having my sense of adventure. Whatever it is, she's down for it. So she was absolutely delighted, and then, so we were, having a good time and eating pizza. And 3 hours later, we're still there with this guy, Kevin. And he's the owner of that motorcycle. And he says to me, I'm moving to Idaho, and I have a motorcycle. I'm just trying to figure out how to get it up to Idaho. I said, "Are you kidding? I have a transport company. I'd be happy to take it for you." So fast forward a few days, and we closed the deal. And so the only question was the timing of when I would actually be doing it. Well, I knew from the chemo what to expect physically. So round one was a lot easier than I thought. My expectations had been set for some really, really bad side effects and just not that good. And what I actually experienced was, not that bad for me, especially with those expectations that had been set. So I thought the whole chemo process would be a breeze. Well, no, not really. Because you see, round two, as I shared, and I know I've been sharing most of that on Instagram and Facebook, but round two was much harder than round one. So I could see the trend. Okay, every round is going to be more difficult, more physically challenging than the previous round. Got it. So in anticipation of round three being even harder than round two, I said to the guy, "Okay, you know what? I will go." So my round three started the day after the holiday, okay, on the Tuesday after Memorial Day holiday. And so I told him, "I'll pick up your motorcycle on Wednesday." And I did that on purpose so that my worst days of chemo, because I know I'd have 3 or 4 days of okay, and then it would get bad, so that my worst days would happen on the road, very far from home. And I know how counterintuitive and crazy that sounds, but it was absolutely the best decision that I could have made. So I started the trip in Fort Lauderdale, picked up the motorcycle, and went upstate Florida, picked up 4 cats, dropped those cats off in Illinois, and then went across west to Idaho. Okay? And of course, by the time I left, by the time I got to Idaho, the symptoms started to really kick in pretty bad. Now, the loss of appetite actually started pretty quick on the trip. By day 2 or 3, I already couldn't eat, but I prepared for that too. I had a case of meal replacement drinks on the passenger seat next to me. So I had anticipated, and lots of water, of course. So I anticipated that. By the time I got to Idaho, I actually delivered this motorcycle a day early. I was surprised, actually, because that wasn't my intention. But driving up on this trip was very, very different. Rather than me treating it as a business trip, I ended up treating it as a time of meditation. Okay, a time of meditation. So no music, no podcasts, no audiobooks, which is what I normally do, no phone calls. I usually actually talk on the phone a lot while driving. It's a great time to do it. Catch up with old friends. That's usually how it works. But not this trip. It was very, very different. So, driving across the country, seeing this incredibly beautiful continent added to that sense of spirituality. It was actually a very, very a deeply spiritual experience for me on this trip. And it was intentional. I wanted it that way. And I learned a lot about myself on this trip. I learned about my place in the universe. I learned about my mission in life, the meaning and purpose of my life. So it was a very, very personal trip. I experienced things that I really can't even describe not because I don't want to, I can't. There are no words to describe some of the epiphanies that I had on this trip. So anyway, when I got to Idaho, we unloaded the bike, I delivered it, and my friend Kelly was staying with his cousin. My friend Kevin, the customer, was staying with his cousin Kelly. They both insisted that I stay the night. I said no. And I immediately turned around and started heading back east. I was planning on driving back east to meet a friend and then hurrying back to Idaho because I had a completely different job from Idaho back to the East Coast. Okay. So anyway, now I had time for a personal trip with no cargo, no pets, no nothing. And I got as far as Laramie, which is where I'm now. I'm in Laramie, Wyoming. Very beautiful town. I did some updates. I sent some updates about it on Instagram and Facebook about what a wonderful town this is. But by the time I got to Laramie, I was almost at my worst physically. And which was fine. I didn't mind that. I expected it. But I couldn't really enjoy the town the way I wanted. I think I walked about a quarter of a mile. Had to get back to the truck. I was simply too weak. There is a footbridge, and I posted or will post photos of that bridge, photos of Laramie on Instagram if you want to check that out. But I didn't even try to get up to that bridge because I was too weak. My blood oxygen level, it took effort to maintain it. My blood oxygen levels can never get below 90. It got as low as 74 at one point. And I have a pulse oximeter, so I can always monitor it. And if it gets low, I know what to do. I just sit and I do these breathing exercises to oxygenate my blood. So it's not a big deal. And of course I can feel it. So even without the meter, I know when my blood oxygen is getting low. And that has been a factor this trip because of the altitude. Here in Laramie, we're at about 7,000 feet. So that makes everything a little bit more challenging for me. But it's still beautiful. And if you ever get the chance to come to Laramie, do it. Do it. It's definitely worth it. And incidentally, these are the lowest gas prices I have seen on this entire trip, both coming and on the way back. So I definitely stopped this trip just to fill up on gas. I even got an extra gas can, fill that up. But how much did I pay for gas? I think I paid $1.74 when the going rate in other towns is, no, I'm sorry, $2.74, where it's like $3.50 everywhere else, $3.60, $3.75. So that's another good reason to stop in Laramie. Anyway, I don't want to, that's kind of a side note. So when I got to Laramie, I spent an entire day here enjoying the town. And I did enjoy it very, very much, even though I couldn't get very physical. Drove around town and got to see a lot of things. I mean, this is a beautiful little town. Really, really is. There's a university here that's very, very nice. There are some historic landmarks that are very, very nice. Um, there is just really a lot to see. Really, really a lot to see. Great food, great people, super, super friendly people. So then I stopped. I didn't go any further. And it said, you know what? I was impressed by Spirit to turn back around and go back to Idaho, right? Go back to Idaho, which I needed to be there anyway for this leg of the trip that I'm on now. Well, I spent 4 days with Kelly and his cousin, with Kevin and his cousin Kelly, just relaxing, rest and relaxation, which is what everyone keeps telling me to do. But the difference is my body, the bad chemo days were over. My appetite had come back, so I was eating full, healthy, high calorie, nutritious meals, getting some weight back on, and while resting, as opposed to resting when I'm very depressed, can't eat, feeling sick, and all that, which is what happened last time. I'll make a special episode on depression. It won't be this time because I can't have this be too long. But depression for me, in a nutshell, is not painful at all. It's not unenjoyable. It does not affect my happiness. Depression is purely physical, absolutely physical. My energy level gets very, very, very low, and I combine that with chemo. Oh, this dog is barking at me, saying hello, 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 hello. So, anyway, where am I? I am in a cemetery. I am at the cemetery here in Laramie, and I am here because I actually like cemeteries. I think cemeteries are very cool places. Okay. In fact, let me tell you a quick story. When I took my daughters on that trip a couple months back, took them to DC and then Chicago, a friend of mine, I don't know how this got the conversation, but one of my daughters said to, I forget which friend, one of mine said, our dad loves hospitals. And my friend just had a kind of a reflexive reaction. She said, no, your dad does. No one likes hospitals. And I didn't correct anyone, and the subject was changed. But as a matter of fact, I like hospitals very, very much. And I mean as a patient. My first real experience at a hospital was when I was 21 years old. Had a very bad, very, very, very bad car accident. And that was my first experience. And while the accident was horrible, I should have died. Anyone who knows me from back then knows that it's a miracle that I survived. I'm the result of many, many miracles. But it was my first hospital experience. It was an extremely positive one. And every time I've been in the hospital, I find it to be, hospitals are places of healing. Hospitals are places of warmth and love. And that's one of the reasons why I enjoy being in hospitals. And I make it my business when in a hospital to give back to the staff, to minister to them, to be that little oasis in the hospital where they can come to when they need a little break and have someone that's going to put a smile on their face and tell them some jokes and make them laugh, make them smile, and let them know that they're truly, truly appreciated. So, no, I actually do love hospitals very, very much. And I also happen to like cemeteries for very similar reasons. Cemeteries teach me to appreciate life. I am very much, I every day I contemplate death. I have for 5 years now. Every single day. It's part of my routine. And it's my secret to being happy. I am a huge believer in bucket lists. I really am. Everyone should have a bucket list. And I realized that if I showed you my bucket list, I'd basically have to hold up. In fact, you know what? Yes. Let me see if I can find my bucket list. I want to show it to you. Bear with me here. Okay. Are you ready? I'm going to hold up my bucket list. And here it is. Can you read that? Should I zoom in a little bit? Can you see that? Yeah. It's a blank sheet of paper. That was my bucket list before I was diagnosed with cancer. And it's still my bucket list now. I learned before I was ever diagnosed to live every day as though it were my last. So when I was diagnosed, it honestly was not a big deal. I had a someone very dear to me tell me that I was in denial. No, I am not. I am the happiest person I know because I think about death every single day. The angel of death is my friend. The angel of death is my teacher. The angel of death is my guide to the land of the living. Now, I know some people who are very religious may find those words very troubling. Don't be troubled. Don't be troubled by that. This is not a reference to anything witchcraft or anything like that. I assure you. In a sense, when I say the angel of death, that is something of a metaphor. But death is my constant companion. I'm not afraid of death at all. When I say death is my friend, it's because death is my constant companion and reassures me that I don't need to be afraid of death. But when I say death is my teacher, I say that because every single day death teaches me lessons. Most important being to appreciate life. So many different ways that I see. So many different things that I hear. I have friends in the hospital right now. I have friends who started chemo after me who are not doing so good. I have a very, very close friend whose little brother passed away in a tragic car accident. And these things, I feel helpless in face of these things, because I can't do something for other than just be here. But for me, these things remind me, though, that every day is a gift. I'm trying to get some more light. Every day is a gift, and life itself is a gift. But I live my life as though every day were my last. And it's why I'm always so positive. It's why I don't let anything bother me. It's why people get so bent out of shape about stuff. But if you found out that you had 1 week left to live, would you really be upset about things that are upsetting you right now? Wouldn't you have a very different sense of perspective, right? Well, I was already living like that. So finding out I have cancer, not a big deal at all. Not a big deal at all. And that's what I hope to share in these videos. That's the perspective. I hope that my cancer can be a gift to you. Think about that. I want that to sink in. I want my cancer to be a gift to you. Let my cancer be a wake-up call for you. A lot of people, I live a life that is enviable. here I am crisscrossing the country and getting paid to do it, by the way. Coming to these beautiful places, bringing these beautiful animals to their homes. Don't envy me. Do it. Do whatever makes you happy. You have no excuse. You really don't. Don't wait until you get a diagnosis to suddenly start working on your bucket list. Do everything in your power so that your bucket list can be a blank sheet of paper. And then you know what happens then? Every day is a really amazing gift at that point. Think about that. Think about that. Anyway, I don't want this video to be too long. I will do my best to make more frequent videos. But if you really want more frequent updates, Instagram and Facebook are where I update my medical stuff a bit more often. So right now, what can I say about them? Yeah, round 3 was definitely the hardest so far, but I was ready for it. And traveling across the country with the background of the amazing landscape was the best possible medicine. Best possible medicine. So, anyway, from this beautiful cemetery in Laramie, Wyoming. Okay. I'm going to say goodbye for now and be well. Drink lots of water. Peace and love. See you soon.